welcome to the Abundance Society interviews, and I'm so honored to have today the greatest Marta Hobbs.
Hi, so good to see you.
Oh my God, let me just introduce you. And I have like an introduction for the first time for this Abundance Society interviews. That is like the place to be if you want to upgrade your level of wealth in a feminine way. And you are like the opening for this like slogan. And let me tell my audience, this woman that I met, that I had the privilege to meet, is the most heart-centered person and woman I ever met. And at the same time, she built a company that had the, oh, let me see the word in English, the revenue, not revenue, or generated 2.5 billion dollars. So you are here in front of a billionaire that reached that level. And like, you know, something that I love about you, Marta, is you're so humble. You know, like you're so easy to get close to. And you know, like, the first question I have for you is like, I know that you were not born in like a wealthy family. So you created all of this. So I would love for you to tell us, like, what was your mindset? You know, like before you reach this level of financial freedom and of like sorry for my pauses in English. This level of what is happening now in your life is like you're doing your soul mission. You're not depending on money. So like you are, let me just introduce you here like properly, is like storyteller, truth seeker, spiritual teacher, soul-led mentor, and entrepreneur. And you drawn your life experiences on childhood trauma. So you wow. So it's like when we think like, no, it's not possible because I had this or that, it's like, it's not an excuse. Immigration, assimilation, successful business venture, as well as the healing and spiritual journey. And your mission is to help others find their own freedom. And you are the creator and teacher of soul care. Soul care is so beautiful. A practice to slow down the body, quiet the mind, and reconnect with the soul. And Marta guides others toward healing, self-discovery, and heart-centered living. And for me, you're just like this inspiration of like luxury and spiritual lifestyle. And I love you so much for that. And I had the most amazing experience with you in Paris. So I'm like mixing everything. But anyway, just like to introduce you. And for me also, like there is more and more millionaires, but that like when you have like someone that reached this level of billionaire, it's like, oh my God, like, and the codes that you have is just like amazing, be near you. But I wanted to start by this, like you had like the most normal childhood. Oh, when did you start thinking about this wealth and like being different in terms of like money and freedom? So tell us like what you feel like on that.
I didn't start thinking about it until it became a thing everybody was talking about. So, you know, in my journey, money never drove me. It was never the purpose to make money. It was always about something else, you know. And I think now that everyone's talking about making money, and now there's a new language around manifesting and abundance, you know, I'm able to see what's happening now, especially in the coaching world, and really look back at my journey and be like, oh my gosh, that's what I did. It wasn't something I read in a book or I practiced or, you know, I learned somewhere. I just lived it, like living into the next level, constantly expanding, constantly dreaming, envisioning big things, but letting the heart lead and really magnetizing the wealth so that the wealth and the money becomes a result of the work that I'm doing when the passion is in the driver's seat, you know? So it was never, not until maybe, you know, like right around the time when we met that I started really thinking about, wow, that is some impressive wealth generation, because it just wasn't even at the front of my mind. It was, you know, we created this big thing, and you know, it generated 2.5 billion. I'm not quite a billionaire because, you know, when the company's big, when it's, you know, 500 people work for me. So even when you sell, the profits that you make, everything gets split up between, you know, the people that own it. So, yeah, and my beginnings were, and the reason why I do the work that I do now is because my beginnings were so difficult. You know, I grew up in Poland under communism in the late 70s, and it was not safe. And there was nothing. I was the definition of scarcity, you know, growing up in a gray, controlled, restrictive place where you needed to have coupons to buy bread. You know, there was no color in my life. Everything was gray and sad, and there was not enough of everything. And so coming into the world with not enoughness being such a big part of who I was and what the world around me was like, and then getting here where it's abundance at crazy levels, I'm like, I have to tell this story because it gives hopes to so many people, to say, not only if you come into scarcity, but if you come into, you know, there was pain, there was trauma. It was the end of the Cold War. My mother was very active against the communist government. And so when I was a little girl, the, you know, police raided our home and kidnapped her in the middle of the night and put her in prison. And she was missing for 3 days. And our family didn't know if she would come back alive because many people were being murdered at that time. So it's that level of fear, you know, where my body, my nervous system never registered safety as a little girl because I was always, you know, we were followed, our phones were tapped, like stuff that you see in movies these days. That was my infancy, that was my childhood. And then at the age of 12, my parents decided that we would seek political asylum in the United States. And so we, not telling anyone, we fled in the middle of the night, leaving our homeland, driving across the border, you know, going through a refugee camp where I welcomed my 13th birthday. So like becoming a teenager, that pivotal time in your life for a young woman, I'm in a refugee camp with no friends, waiting for the next life to begin. So already at 13, I'm completely stripped of all of my identity. Anything that gives me a feeling of home and groundedness is taken. And I'm in this limbo place, waiting for everything, all the paperwork to get approved so that we can go to the United States. And that's just until 13. You know, then the journey begins of what it's like to arrive in America. This was before the internet. So we have no English speaking in our family. You have no reference of where you're going. And we end up in New York City, you know, going from a small town to this, it was a whole other universe. And being thrown into school with other 13-year-old little girls and boys who were not used to having foreigners around. And so I was bullied, I was beaten by girls. Like it was a really, really hard beginning. And, you know, I often get asked, like, how is it that you made it? Like, what was it? And I think from the very beginning, there was a fire in me, you know? And at that age, it showed up as, well, I have a right to be here. I deserve, you know, the chances and the opportunities that these kids around me have, and they're not better than me just because they speak English. But that drive was a result of, at first, feeling very hurt, very wounded, like I don't belong, like no one loves me, like I have no friends. And so the drive to do big, huge things was to prove that I could belong, that I could have what they have and even more, and that I was worth all of it. For a long time, that's what drove me, was that need to prove myself to everyone, you know, as a kid. And so then I became this warrior pretty early on in life. You know, I think it was already in me generationally, but that's what drove me in the beginning. It was, you know, survival. And then I think at some point, which is when I met my husband, because we built the company together, it became love, that's what drove. Then it was like my passion for life, his passion for life. It just amplified. And then when we had our daughter, our company was when our company was born, our little girl was 1. And so then it was like, what can we build? I finally started to feel like I belong. Like, here are my people. I have my spouse. I have my little girl. And what can we create together? Like, not just this little family, but then, like, that was like my first blooming, where I felt I was truly loved. I gave birth to this little amazing human who was an extension of me, whom I loved tremendously. And out of that came this beautiful thing. Our company was centered around the Caribbean, which is where I am today, actually. We came to an island, my husband and I, we fell in love with it. And we're like, how can we make life feel like it's a vacation all the time? A kind of life that you don't need to escape from. You just live feeling like you're on an island all the time. And that was the drive, so the motivation was not the money, but like, how can we just have tremendous fun, build something together, and something fun that pays the bills? And then how can other people access feeling this way? And so providing these vacations to our clients and customers so they can experience it. And so that was what drove us.
Wow. So you start for also the lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I
Not
want
a
the
rich
lifestyle.
lifestyle. Like, we were fine living, on a towel on the beach, eating a baguette and a piece of cheese. Like, it wasn't a rich lifestyle we were after, but the feeling of freedom, where you can be barefoot and naked running in the sand, and you're just like a kid, that pure joy.
Oh my God, that's so amazing, I was like speaking with a guy today, kind of, and like these millionaires, like they want, it's like some of them, the classic woman. And I was like, yeah, like, I'm not that woman, like, I'm the one who like laughing through the corners. I'm that woman. And it's like, it make me remember, because there is no, how can I say, like, category someone should fit to reach to this like millionaire or billionaire. It's just like, you are connected with your essence, and you were, and your husband were, and it's kind of like, oh, we love this. We love this lifestyle. We love so it's kind of like, you created together a business that you love, that gives people what you love, and that's, of course, like, I imagine with a lot of work. And you are a Virgo, a star sign, so I can say by that you like for sure you're a very like strong, like ethic orientated person in terms of work. It's kind of like
And
discipline.
my husband is not. My husband is a Scorpio. And so like, we were the perfect match, because, I think, and it was so interesting, because everyone's like, we met at work is how we met. And then we quit our jobs. We worked on television. We quit our jobs because we're like, we're going to do this crazy thing. We're going to the Caribbean is the vibe. And everyone said, you will be divorced in a year. And we were like, our favorite line has for a very long time been, oh yeah, watch this. And we were a perfect combination, because he was super disorganized, always late, like the big dreamer, like I always said he dreamt big and got lost in the clouds. And me, I was the stable, organized administrative that like held on to him by the ankles and brought him down to the ground and said, okay, out of the 50 things you just said that are crazy, we're going to do 2. And then, that then became the business plan, or the next strategic move. And so in that sense, it was this beautiful flow where, interestingly, if you think about it in terms of the masculine and feminine, he was more in the feminine as the visionary, and I was providing the masculine structure, and like, this is that linear thinking.
But it could be seen as the opposite, because the Scorpio has Mars, so it's kind of like vision, and you have like Virgo is Earth, so it's kind of like the part, the feminine part of Earth, that is kind of like, let's be stable, let's create a home.
Yeah, that's true.